Good afternoon, Bradenton Kiwanis. Thank you all for being here today. No podium. We're going to have a special program with Paul Azinger being interviewed by my friend Jay Ellis today, but we'll start that in just a minute. If we could get Jerry Parrish, the Outreach Director with Manatee Powell up here to do our invocation.
Thank you. Let's pray. Father, we love you and we thank you for your goodness, your grace, your mercy. And we ask you, God, today just minister to these people. These are your people who are called by your name. And Father, you've given us simple to love people and care for people. So today, God, just let God speak through Paul, speak through his family and the work that he's done, and bless this community. We love this community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Jerry. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please have a seat, enjoy your lunch for about 5 minutes, and we'll start the program up a little earlier. Good afternoon and welcome back. Well, as usual, the ranger came by and said we got to hurry up this round. So I'm going to ask Rita Smith if she can come up here to announce our guest today. And we've got a few other announcements. We've got a lot of guests here today. Do you want me, I can hold the mic for you if you'd like, Rita.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Our guests, when I call your name, please stand so we could give you a warm Kiwanis welcome. Our first guest is Janice and Danny Minor, parents of our president. Thank you. Our camp guest of Jane Coker. Nicholas Irvin, guest of Mike McCoy. Billy, guest of Lamone. Thank you. Kim, guest of Mike McCoy. Thank you. Chris Mata, guest of Bill Murphy. Marcy McPherson, guest of Jennifer Fritsch. Gary Scott, guest of Ken's. Mr. Parrish, guest of Jay Ellis. Tammy McCoy, Mike's guest. White, this is White, right? All right. Ray Gosby, guest of Andy's. Steve Miller, guest of Mike Beer. Thank you. Tim Collins, guest of John Tucker. David Notman, and I guest of us. David DeWitt, guest of Sharon's. Christina Gherkin, guest of Carly's. And lastly but not least, John McGee, guest of Scott's. Thank you all for attending today and welcome. I also want to say that this club is applying for the Club of the Year. Yay! And so all hands on deck. So we're going to be reaching out to some of you for input. So like I said, all hands on deck. We are the #1 club, right? Yes. And thanks again for attending today. Bye-bye.
And our next meeting is 11:30 next Tuesday before the regular meeting, right, Rita?
Yes.
Okay. So anybody interested in that committee, come on over. Mr. Neil Unruh with a former president with a update on playground.
Do you get to hold that for me?
No, you get to hold it.
All right. 22 days and counting. April 24th, 10 a.m., Tom Bennett Park. Be there for a Legacy Project ribbon cutting. We will be presenting our playground out there, the Bradenton Kiwanis playground at Tom Bennett Park. So we'll have a short ceremony. We will have great entertainment from our Action Club. And so it should be a wonderful experience as we open up a great, inclusive, and accessible playground for everybody. April 24th, 10 a.m., out at Tom Bennett Park.
Thank you, Neil. Sharon Barhorst with a membership update. Thank you, Sharon.
Welcome to the largest Kiwanis Club in the state of Florida. If you would like to become one of our members, we have the best deal in town. We have a free lunch card. So we have a lot of you out there today. Bradenton Kiwanis is so amazing, as you can see by the wonderful people that we have attending today. Please think about joining us. So come any Tuesday from 12 to 1:15 and think about making Bradenton Kiwanis part of your membership opportunities. Thanks.
Thank you, Sharon. Christy Haley with an update on our community services.
Absolutely.
There you go. You got it?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to ask that we have such a large crowd today. If any of you are involved in a nonprofit or you're a nonprofit member, please send us some suggestions for community service. We'll be planning next year. We'd like to get all of our ideas out there. Number two, the Giving Challenge. It is next week. We want to make sure everyone donates to Kiwanis. Through the Giving Challenge, your funds will be matched. We also have a lot of nonprofit members, so please support those also. After that, we're going to join the Cereal for Summer campaign. I mentioned last week that the CBS station up in Tampa saw our food packing events and asked us to join with them. Sheriff Wells is doing this as well, so we'll probably just join on them. But we'll have a box out here after next week that we can add some cereal to help support our families that are struggling this summer. Next, we are still looking for some volunteers for Take Stock in Children. Please see Ann if you would like to be a volunteer mentor. May 6th, we'll be tagging ducks for the Lucky Ducky Race for Pace. Adoption season opened. Thank you for that fabulous shirt over there for Lou. Kiwanis does have a team, so if you would like to adopt a duck, please adopt under our Kiwanis team, because Rotary has a team also, and I'm a little competitive. I think that's all. Oh, no, I'm sorry. April 20th, Felts Audubon Preserve reached out to us. They are planting a micro forest. So if you love the environment, want to participate in that, you don't have to dig any holes. You just have to plant the trees. And they will be there to help. It's a quick time, be outside in a beautiful wildlife preserve right here in the Palmetto area. I think that's all. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Christy. Jay Ellis and Paul Azinger, why don't you make your way up here to these nice comfy chairs up here. Tony, if we can borrow them for a little bit. Don't sit in the mic.
How's everyone?
I'll just give a brief introduction, although Paul Azinger doesn't need one, but we're very proud to have an athlete of a world-class caliber come out of Bradenton right here locally. And we all know the number of PGA Tour Player of the Year. He was the Ryder Cup captain when we came back and finally snatched it from those guys over across the pond, which was amazing. 12-time PGA Tour winner. There's many accomplishments, but, as I think we'll find out today from Paul, some of what he's doing today with his accomplishments. We just had Easter. It's a time for, new birth, to look for the future. And I'm looking forward to hearing from Paul today very much. So I'll turn it over to you, gents.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. All right. Paul, let's just dive right off the deep end. Get started, engage everybody. What is up with the world of golf?
That's a good first question. First, I'd just like to introduce my wife, Tony, real quick. Tony is she's got a heart of gold, and my driving force for sure. I want you to say I feel like I'm not really a guest. I feel like kind of, I'm part of the family almost. I know so many of you in the room, which is kind of cool. I appreciate the Kiwanis and what you do. I think we all are like-minded and have a heart to serve young people and children. And I never thought in my career that I would get to this point where I could be here and sharing with you what we're doing in the community and talking about a career. It was weird the first time I ever heard anyone talk about their career. I was like, man, we got on the tour at the same time, and you're saying career, and I'm thinking we're just golfers. But anyway, golf has changed so much. Does everyone here know what's going on in the game pretty much? I've got some inside scoop stuff for you that I'll share. Golf's in a tough spot. All the players are going to make money, I think, though. So in that regard, it's not too bad. It's hard to complain about the current state of golf for me because I don't have any solutions. I have no answers. So I'm not publicly going to complain about the state of the game. But for those that don't know, the Saudi Arabians have this public investment fund, and they have trillions of dollars in it, $2 trillion in it. And they wanted to bring $2 billion of it to the PGA Tour. And, the Saudis are always trying to ingratiate themselves, aren't they, when they come to the country with all this money? They have Formula One, tennis now, they have soccer. And I think that's what they wanted to do. But our commissioner didn't pick up the phone. And he started a war with Liv. And he switched sides after about 6 months and never told anybody. And it was really, we have a dirty commissioner right now in the sport. Professional golf is in trouble. Golf itself is still awesome, isn't it? We all love to play. We still don't mind watching it. But golf has gone from the greatest meritocracy. My wife and I lived in a motorhome for 4 years and played the PGA Tour from 82 to 86 and 85, I guess. And we lost money. That's hard to believe. It's like making it to the big leagues and losing money, but that's what was happening. And so that needed to be corrected, put to the point where it is now. I think all these players are going to be getting guarantee money to show up, and now the greatest meritocracy, not so much. And it's good for the players, but will the public care as much? When I was broadcasting full-time, one of the things I always said was, Jay, we only choke for two things, cash and prestige. And the PGA Tour has the most of both. But that's not true anymore. The most prestige isn't on the PGA Tour anymore because the best players don't play there anymore. Not all of them. A bunch went to Live. The tour got divided, much like tennis. And now we only watch the major tennis events. The PGA Tour doesn't own any of the four majors. The four majors are where the best players will get together. And that's really hurt the PGA Tour. It's a tough spot, but that's where the game of golf is. The networks are recognizing that the ratings are tumbling, and the PGA Tour has just built a new headquarters, and they've got a giant production studio underneath it. And my prediction is within 3 to 5 years, the PGA Tour will produce all the golf. NBC and CBS will only produce the four majors. Currently, NBC and CBS split the whole entire PGA Tour, but the tour's going to create their own production, and that's what's coming. So that's the inside scoop. It doesn't change that it's competitive, and there's still awesome players in the whole 9 yards, but the greatest players only get together now 4 times a year. So that's a massive change.
Wow. All right. Well, talk to us. You touched on broadcasting a little bit, Paul. Talk to us. Tell us about broadcasting versus playing.
Well, I broadcast for a while. It's the most unsatisfying thing you've ever done. It's like you sit there all day and you watch golf on TV just like everybody else, and you got producers telling you when we're going to, whatever, and then we all get up and we shake hands and we walk out, and it's like, oh, man, hey, did you hear it when I said this and when I observed that? And nobody's congratulating you on any of that, and it really is unsatisfying. And I did get to the point where, it's true, though. I wanted to document for whoever was winning, something that they could play for their grandchildren and always be like, yeah, Dad, you were awesome. And that was kind of my goal to broadcast. But it was much better being a player because your performance was evaluated immediately and you could quantify how good you were in an instant. And that was what was great about it. I loved transitioning into broadcasting, though. But truly, towards the end, I mean, you're guarded. Every word's guarded, you know. Like when a guy hits a shot fat, I hear it and I just want to say, man, that sounded like a cow turd hitting a flat rock. But I can't say that. But that's what I want to say.
Right. Right. Well, you got some good stories you can share with us? Got a good story?
About TV?
Yeah, something.
I mean,
Something juicy
I went
for the
on
crowd?
live one time and didn't know I was live. We were doing the British Open, and Tirico and I were in the booth, and fortunately it was 3:30 or 2:30 in the morning here, and nobody saw it. But I can remember we were doing our actual on camera, and we were talking back and forth, and I said, I'll nail that when we're live. And because I didn't nail it, and I stopped in the middle of my on camera, and I said, I'll nail that when we're live. And Tirico goes, well, there, and he gives me one of these right here, and then they cut right away to Curtis and Terry Cannon and Andy North on the range, and their jaws were wide open. But I got away with it. Nobody roasted me for that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, nobody. Right. You know, you get yelled at on air sometimes. I've gotten yelled at like during my on camera before, and that's tough. But you know, it's awesome too. And there's nothing like when that light comes on, and there's a bank of lights, and you know you're going out to millions. I mean, it's a rush. It really is a rush, and it was a rush for me every time. But NBC, I was there 5 years. It was the most fast-paced. I never seen anything quite like it. I was really at this very relaxed ABC, and then ESPN was the same kind of producers, and it was so chill. And man, when I got to NBC, this is where Johnny Miller was. The first card ever handed to me by Gil Capps, who sat between Johnny Miller and Dan Hicks, who's currently hosting. We were watching, my first ever tournament was the Phoenix Open. And Ricky Fowler had the lead after Saturday, and Johnny Miller broadcast up to Saturday and retired Saturday night. They retired Johnny. And I rolled in for Sunday to cover Ricky Fowler's Phoenix Open out in the middle of the desert, and it started raining. And Ricky, blowing a big 4-shot lead, like you expect generally. And my first tournament, you know, how candid can I be is the question. And the first card Gil ever hands me, and his thing is to hand, you know, statistical information and stuff to make us look smart. So Ricky has this disastrous triple on number 11 when he was walking away from his ball, and we all watched it roll back down in the hazard. You guys remember that? Many of you watched it. Drop, bogey the next hole. All of a sudden he's on 18T, or he's on 13T, tied for the lead. Lost his 4-shot lead, and it started raining. The dude next to me, we're out in the Phoenix desert, hands me the card. I look at it, and it said, it rains out here about as often as Ricky Fowler holds a final round lead. Man, I wish I would have said that. But I didn't. I didn't want to start like that. And he ended up winning anyway, which would have really made me look bad. But that's okay. So that was okay. But that was, yeah, anyway.
All right, well, listen, Mike mentioned it already, but you were the winning Ryder Cup captain in 2008. Very much. The Wall Street Journal called it Team USA's Management Victory, a group dynamic philosophy with lessons for golf and beyond. With only 3 wins in 25 years for the United States Ryder Cup team, 2008 captain Paul Azinger employed a management style that focused on building strong relationships among the players. The resulting team won with the largest U.S. margin of victory in almost 3 decades. Paul, how did you crack the code?
Wow, I haven't read that in a while. Give me some right there. Give me some on that. So that we wrote a book called Cracking the Code, and it really documents everything that we did. It was a very outside the box approach. That book actually made it on Amazon. It made it to #1 business books and #1 sports books, #2 business books for a little while. And so what we did there, we'd been getting waxed a bunch. I decided that I wanted to get more picks, and I also wanted to take this Navy SEALs principle to team building and apply it to the Ryder Cup team. And the Navy SEALs concept of team building was to take large groups and make them into small groups. Well, we have a large group of 12, and we had to make them, I wanted to make them into small groups. We usually just show up as 12 guys, we get paired off, and off we go. I had a good friend at the time, still a good friend, dear friend, Dr. Ron Braun, and he asked me one time when I told him about the small groups, he says, how are you going to put them in their small groups? And my reaction immediately was, well, we usually go by light games. A compliment, the guy that drives it a mile, put him with a guy that hits wedges, and, two short players together because they're used to whatever. So that was kind of the thinking. And so Ron asked me, he said, have you ever considered personality types, putting them together in small groups by personality? I'm like, no, I'll think about that. And then after a couple of months, I called him back and I said, tell me more about what you mean by that. And we started delving into the Myers-Briggs and the DISC, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And so through observation and my assistants and Dr. Braun, we determined whether what these guys, their personality was. We used dominant controlling, influencing relators, steady supportives, that sort of thing. And we started to, through observation, decide like who fell into what category. Mickelson's dominant controlling, so-and-so's an influencing relator. And we went through all the 40 players on tour that could have made it, and we got down to 8 that made it. And we decided that what we were going to do is put all green lights together, avoid the caution light situation, and there will be no red light pairings, no personality clashes when Tiger and Phil played together. Do you remember that? What a nightmare. 2 red lights, 2 dominant controllings, and they just were not good. And apparently this all works in the office place. It works quite well. But this is a sporting event, this is different. And I had a message for these players. And the message, before we even picked who would make the team, I had 4 picks, 8 guys make it, I got 4 picks. And I picked Steve Stricker. He'd never played a Ryder Cup, but he was red hot at the time, and he was a worthy pick. And then I made 3 3-man teams based on green light personality types. And then I called the 3 guys. I explained to them how we were doing this, the Navy SEALs program, the concept of team building, the militaristic approach, small groups, by personality, the whole 9 yards. And I said, but I'm going to take it one step further. I'm going to give you ownership, and I'm going to empower you. I'm letting you 3 pick who fills out your group. And I, like the Mickelson, Anthony Kim, Justin Leonard pairing had 7 guys they could have picked. They chose Hunter Mahan. So I call Hunter Mahan. I said, guess what, bud? This is how we're doing it. And they picked you. They would have run through a wall for each other. And then when we got on site, as they all picked each other, my message was, play great, play aggressive, but to bond as a team, come up with a strategy as to how you want to approach the course, and a philosophy as how you want to play it. And you're going to decide who plays alternate shot in your group and who decides who plays best ball. I'm telling you, it came together like a true dream. And we ended up winning. It was close on Sunday a little bit, but we ended up waxing a much favored European team. They came in with great players. And we had Boo Weekley, and, Anthony Kim only played a few years. Ben Curtis doesn't even play anymore. Kenny Perry was getting old. It was a ragtag group. But they did it, and they bonded like no other. They were eating lunch. For a couple, 3 years after that, they ate groups in their little pods, like years ago. So that was one of those things. That's how it went down. And thank God we won.
That's right. All right,
but
good.
it wasn't a fly by the seat of your pants. This was a structured, organized. And then it was really about giving up to control to get control, in the end. And no stone unturned. My assistants were Raymond Floyd. I put him with the aggressive bunch. Dave Stockton with the steady supportives. Olin Brown with what we ended up calling the redneck pod. We had Boo Weekley, the greatest character that's ever played Ryder Cup. Who's heard of Boo Weekley? Everybody, pretty much. So this guy, I'll just do this real quick. Boo Weekley told us a story about when he jumped in the ring with an orangutan up in the panhandle of Florida at the state fair. And so I said, well, tell us this story, Boo. And we're all in our tuxedos getting ready to go down and eat. And this big, $1,000 a plate gala dinner or whatever. And so I asked Boo, we were all sitting in a circle all in our tuxedos and kind of stressed. I said, Boo, is it true you got in the ring with an orangutan? He go, oh, hell yeah. I said, what happened, Boo? He says, well, this feller drove up in a pickup truck and had a trailer on the back, and he done built him a boxing ring. He says he pulled this little orange feller out of there and rolled him in a cage. He's about that high, had boxing gloves on, and the man started yelling, 5 for 50, 5 for 50, $5 to get in the ring, $50 if you can hit my orangutan. Boo's like, we got to do that. So what we done was gathered up $5 amongst us. Then that's how poor he was. He says, then we grabbed straws. He says, I got the short straw. He said, so I walk up there, I hand the man $5. He says, me and my boys are in the back of the pickup truck. He says, anyway, I hand the man $5. He said, I signed the waiver. He said, I put the one glove on, I put the other glove on, I put the headgear on. He says, I felt like Muhammad Ali. He says, I was doing like this right here. He said, the next thing I know, I woke up in the back of my truck. So he said, so then he says he got this ice bag. This changed our whole dynamic of our team, by the way, this little story. He says, I had this ice bag on my head, and all I could hear was this guy yelling, 5 for 50, 5 for 50. And he said, this guy walked up. He said this was his pulpwooder. He was about 6 feet, 10 inches tall. He said it was huge. No shirt, jeans, sweating, tan. He walked up there. He said he handed the man $5. He said he signed the waiver. He put the one glove on. He put the other glove on. He said he went to put the headgear on, and the man said, no, sir, I ain't wearing no headgear. He said, sir, you should wear the headgear. He said, no, sir, I ain't wearing no headgear. He said, sir, you need to wear the headgear. He said, no, sir, I'm fitting to kill your monkey. Boo said, man walked up there like this. Boo said, I swear to God, to this day, I can still hear the wind coming off that orangutan's arm. And then Boo's like, 5 for 50, 5 for 50. So.
That's great.
It is great.
That's great.
That happened before we did the gala dinner thing, and it changed everything for us, I swear it did.
Wow.
We had 5 for 50 written everywhere. And then Boo came up with another word because we were bonded with a secret, doing our little pod system at that Ryder Cup. And so Boo was up there at the podium and all the 300 press, all the cameras back there. And they said, Boo, who do you think you'll play with? Well, he's been known for 2 weeks who he's going to play with. He said, well, I like so-and-so, Kenny Perry here, and I like JB a little bit here. He started realizing he was naming the guys in his pod, and then Boo said, oh, hell, I can compatibate with all of them. Made up a word, but everybody knew what it was.
Well, thanks for that, Paul. Paul,
I didn't mean to go blather on.
That's a great story. Wow. All right, Paul. I would say most everybody here, they know you for the success you've met and been blessed with in the world of golf and broadcasting, but maybe not everybody's quite as familiar as the success you've met with in just living in the community and giving back to it. Tell us about philanthropy, community service, and why is there a very large building in Manatee County with your name on it?
Well, it's not always what you accomplish in life. Sometimes it's what you overcome. My grandmother was a foster child. I never imagined that I would be in a position where we would ever be able to put our name on a building and attract people to this community, but it's happened. I think many of you know what we've done is build a compassion center. We partnered with Tony and I, my wife, with One More Child. It was the Florida Baptist Children's Home at one time. You guys all have one of these if you want to just skim it. We also partnered with the Guardian Angels campus. Many of you probably know the Guardian Angels, Bobby and Floyd Price, excuse me. And Bobby and Floyd are awesome. They acquired all that property. There's 10 foster homes on this campus. Well, it was my wife went over to Lakeland and saw this, the only one in the state, the Compassion Center, redistribution center there. And she immediately had the dream to build one here. And it took us a little while, but we got to the point where Floyd Price was able to acquire that property. And so now we've built this Azinger Family Compassion Center. It's 10,000 square feet. And it is a giant redistribution center, isn't it, Jay? Jay spends a lot of time there. And we have way exceeded whatever we thought we would exceed at the time. When that building opened, there were 2 partners. We had Publix and we had the Compassion Center in Lakeland. We now have over 170 partners. And this isn't a handout building. This is a hand up. You know, people that are trying that can't quite make it. Foster families, foster parents have a place to shop. No kids go hungry, hopefully. You know, that's the main thing. Hungry children and foster kids is our main focus. And I know that's what you guys are all into. High school kids, junior high school kids can earn
Service hours?
community service hours on our campus. How about when the hurricanes hit, Jay? What was going on there? I know Jay spent a lot of time there.
Well, and even you yourself. I mean, I can attest to the fact that not only is Paul's name on that building, but Paul's skin, his sweat, his blood, his tears are in there as well. I mean, Paul has come in several times and just jumps right in, and with the hurricanes, I mean, just truckloads.
If you could have taught me how to drive that forklift, I'd have been on that too. My wife asked me a few years ago what she wanted for Christmas, or for her birthday. Excuse me, I got that wrong. I asked her what she wanted, and she told me she wanted a forklift, and so that's forklift is her forklift. So.
Right. Well, I can tell you, again, attesting to the success of that the growth to 170 partners, but then, of course, the impact sheet lays out more that the Compassion Center has just impacted the lives and the operations of so many organizations, ministries. There are some ministries and organizations even represented here today that tap into the Compassion Center, and it is because of y'all's heart and your compassion for these kids and for the community as well.
Well, God is good, I know that, and the people that work in that building are so sold out for God and in service, public service. You know, I think we all want to surrender to the Lord Jesus Christ. You know, that's the bottom line. If you want to have peace and be happy, and then try to be in service to others, you know, that's really the real priority for happiness, I think, in our life. And that's where we are. That's where we landed, and we're happy to be able to be public servants. You know, I'm just amazed at the amount of people that go through that building every day, the amount of money, the amount of food. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were hoping to get $5 million worth of food in 5 years, and we've redistributed $5 million worth of food in 2 years, and they're expecting to do better than that. There's $15 million worth of food and 9 non-food items that have poured through our Compassion Center. If you walk through that 10,000 square foot building today and see all the stuff that's in there, it's likely when you come back next week, that building, you'll look around, it'll be so full, but there won't be anything in there that was in there last week. And that's what's going on. We get all the overage from the Port of Manatee, from Publix, from Bell's department stores. We got so much overage from Bell's. They donated 10,000 pairs of shoes. And I remember it because they were not paired up. They were not matched up. So caller to say I was wearing something else. Like a crate's broken at the port, and you open it up and it's bicycles. Pastor Jerry comes up and gives us so much. It's just incredible. He spends more time there than anywhere else, really. He just told me that a few minutes ago. I know what the Kiwanis is all about, and we just love that you are the greatest club. Jay's he was popping off and bragging what a great club you were on the phone the other day. I know you must be proud of the Tom Bennett Park. We'll try to be there for that if possible. I have a big grand opening out at the Myakka Golf Club way out east, partnered with Steve Herrig, who owns the Suns building right downtown here in Bradenton. And we're building a championship golf course way out east of Myakka State Park. It's in the middle of nowhere. But apparently one day someone's going to come out that far. It looks like it. It might be happening soon. I know we used to live at River Wilderness back in the mid to early 80s, and that was as far out east as you could get. It was all dirt roads out there, and now there's 33,000 homes east of that. So it's crazy, isn't it? This is a growing county. The need in this county is huge, and it takes people like you to really meet the need of a lot of fortunate people come here, but there are a lot of unfortunate people in this community. The children come first for us. That foster campus is quite incredible, and the redistribution center has way exceeded any expectations that Tony and I had, I can assure you.
Yeah. All right, Paul. You open to me stepping out of the way and turning it loose to a few questions and answers from the audience?
All right, yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'll step out of the way. And anybody want to? Ken Christie.
in your favorite tournament?
My favorite tournament was probably Disney. We played a couple awesome courses. We had free passes to Disney the whole week, day and night. That tournament was the most fun. Hilton Head was so fun. The coolest tournament of all times, though, is the Masters. There's just something about the tradition and the history, the music, that whole thing. I had one really legit chance, maybe two, to win the Masters. Never played that well there. It was just a hard course for me. The U.S. Open was like a torture test. It's not anymore. It's not anymore. They made it a lot easier for some reason. But yeah, I think those are my favorites. The Disney tournament. My favorite course is Augusta National. Yeah, it's awesome.
One of the things that I was concerned about over the years, having been an athlete myself, is safety. And I know when you all are moving around and you're doing what you do, you have fans out there. And I was wondering if you ever had any type of encounter.
Incident?
Anything ever occurred like that?
No, I never had any incidents. I mean, a few guys would say, smile, after you make a double bogey, and then you sort of want to kill them. But no, the tour really, Tiger Woods the only one that knowingly got death threats. Were like, there was people on, 5 holes ahead of him covering all the greens because, you get an inch away from a golfer, yeah. You got to be right there, and you could be right here. You'll be right there. It's the greatest thing in the world to go to a golf tournament and watch them swat that ball in person. But it's so far a very safe place, but I would say one of the softest, easiest targets of all time. One time at the Open Championship, the British Open, we were at St. Andrews, and all the public is out there walking their dogs after the round. It's the most incredible experience, St. Andrews. But with the grandstands were huge. I mean, they would hold 35, 40,000 people, and there was no security whatsoever guarding those grandstands. And Tarico and I would talk about it every night, walking across the fairway, thinking, look at those grandstands. Ah, dang, Tarico, anybody could slip anything in there. So golf's a soft target, It's not like trying to get into a football game or a baseball game. I hope it never happens.
All right. Somebody else. Hi there. Go ahead. I'm going to ask. She's waiting.
So talking about it being a soft target, the tournament out in, I believe it was Phoenix this year, was pretty raucous.
Oh.
What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I was glad I wasn't there. I was supposed to be there. I thought I was going to be there broadcasting that, but it didn't work out. That's a little out of hand, I think. That my first ever win was at Phoenix, the Phoenix Open, 1987, the first ever year they played there. And that has turned into something special, that event. Oh, and I also wanted to remind you guys that when I first moved into the area here, 1971, 11 years old, Little League champion representing Kiwanis Club. Just so you know, Little League champions.
Great. Okay. Judge.
Tom, back here.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, Paul. I'm looking at your your flyer for the Family Compassion Center, and your focus, you say, is on children, the hungry children, foster children, trafficked children. Last week I attended, or I sat in on a Zoom webinar for Selah Freedom, and that they serve trafficked children, and the secrecy, what they were talking about, the secrecy with those trafficked children. How do trafficked children come to the Family Compassion Center?
They don't come to our compassion center. We are partnered with One More Child. And a lot of times the state will, if there's nobody next to kin or anybody nearby, they'll take the children to the One More Child campus in Lakeland. They're not bringing them to our campus. It's a separate thing.
You still live on the river?
Yes. Have you fished under my dock? Are you? If it's got a red dot or a dot on the tail, I raised it from birth, or a stripe.
All right, we got time for one more. Neil. There was Judge Smith had one, and somebody else. Okay.
Hey, Paul. You talked a little bit about the pressure in the booth. I wanted to hear a little bit about how you were able to overcome pressure playing tournament golf. I know that you were kind of a late bloomer at the beginning of college, so I'm sure you probably felt a little inferior to some of your competitors starting out. So how did you get that confidence on the course to be able to close it out in the majors and in the big moment?
Thank you. It was a learned behavior. Concentration was a learned behavior. Dealing with pressure was a learned behavior. I kind of tried to progressively relax myself from head to toe and visualize, and I read a lot of books, how to do that, how to be more aggressive. I feel like golf is just more and more aggressive. You just have to be so aggressive off the tee and into the greens, and there's so much confidence required to be aggressive and to hit it takes a lot of guts to hang a ball in the air for 10 or 11 seconds. Now, it's easier to hang it in the air for 7 or 5 and drill it down there nice and low, but they don't play like that. It feels like more aggressive game played by softer men. If you want to know how I feel about it, it's kind of how I feel about
That's
it.
Judge Smith.
But I think you get comfortable, you get used to playing under pressure, just like anything else, and the angst is real, and they feel it. They all still feel it. I talked about it because it was real, and you hear every player after it's over talk about what it felt like, the pressure and what it felt like. So you have to learn how to overcome pressure. I think we all do it when you go to the dentist. I mean, there's nothing scarier than going to see Dr. Tinsworth or something. But you overcome it. You breathe your way through it or whatever. Think about something else. If the dentist bothers you, if you have to get a shot or something, none of that bothers me. It's like getting in an MRI tube or something. Some people hate it. I just make myself love it. And I just decide what I'm going to love about something. And, golf, I decided to embrace the pressure. I remember the day I said to my caddy, check it out. I'm so nervous I can't spit. It was nice to admit it. And then you know what? But when it's happening, like when I was really dominating the game, in like '87, I had 3 wins, and then I kept winning, and then '93 was a monster season for me, and you just get confident and you get comfortable in the last group, and you feel this flow and this connection that's face to the ball. It's it's indescribable. You have to know it, and you have to put it on repeat. You have to walk at a certain pace. People say that Tiger knows exactly how many paces he takes per minute. He knows. If you count his walking steps, he was dialed in when he was 12, counting his walking paces per minute. And if that varied, then he wasn't himself. Watch Jordan Spieth or Rory McIlroy. McIlroy starts playing good, man, he's tippy-toeing around, hopping all along, and then he's dogging it, and he's crawling around. Tiger doesn't do that. He's steady Eddie, bud.
That's great. All right, we got time for one final question. Judge Smith.
Paul, there's a number of judges here. We deal with foster parents and foster kids all the time, as well as there's a lot of other people here working with nonprofits that do that. Thank you again for being involved, you and Tony, with this endeavor, and please join Kiwanis as a partner and trying to help you. When we can help you, let us know. But I wanted to ask you, how do you interchange with the foster parent groups that are trying to help kids and get those placed?
Well, the ones that live on our campus, they have free reign of the Compassion Center, for sure. We're the #1 supplier of most everything they have. The house, the furniture, the food, all the toys. They're our #1 priority, is that foster campus and all the foster campuses in the area. We have foster parents driving from Hillsborough County and down there in Fort Myers. They're driving up to get food from our campus, and we're
right.
Yeah, it says on here, I believe.
Yeah,
it's saving about $1,000 a month per foster family.
Yeah.
You have to sign up and be a partner with us, and we'll bring stuff to you if you want. We deliver, and they drive up. And the other day, a lady came all the way from Fort Myers just in time to back into my little car. But they come from all over, so.
Well, Paul, I'm going to hand it over to Mike. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to say again, thank you for allowing me to come here and share about the Compassion Center, give you a little inside scoop about our, yeah, thank you very much.
Paul, hang out just a second right here. Oh, yeah. I got some of your presentation.
Can I be an honorary member?
You could, we would love to have you be a member, seriously. But I'd like to give you, on behalf of all the Bradenton Kiwanis members, for the past 100 years coming up and the 100 years coming up, thank you. And that's to measure your future success. And with the Compassion Center, Paul.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It's always a great day when you've got the zinger in the house. So thanks again. You all have a great day.
All right. Thanks.